trials have shown that psychedelics are at least as good as big pharma drugs when it comes to handling depression. Why then do they remain illegal?
50 years ago, psychedelic drugs were at the center of America's counterculture.
It's no coincidence that those drugs were at the center of a counterculture because they affect the way that you perceive reality. I've had some experience with psychedelics, and though I would never publicly endorse any illegal activity at all, my personal recollection of using those controlled substances is it altered the way that I saw myself and my ego. Now, obviously, I took it in a rather reckless and untutored, unguided way. But I can see and recall even now as a man in recovery from drug addiction that those kind of experiences under the correct tutelage could be used to guide me away from certain patterns and behaviours. And microdosing, which is what is suggested might have a positive impact on depression and anxiety, could alter the way that you see reality. And the way that you see reality for your personal and empirical purposes is reality.
Today, the DEA restricts psychedelics as Schedule I drugs with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse.
It's interesting to watch even the transition between like that famous Woodstock-looking footage of people lounging around all happy and dopey and the prejudices and cultural baggage that that carries over to these heavily emblematic icons, US Justice Department and like the strips of information here on the news. We're dealing with how to curate and corral cultural space, how reality operates. My personal belief is that many substances have been controlled precisely because they alter the way that people see reality. The only way you can control a society, and make no mistake, the word government is a synonym for control, is if you manage people's perceptions. If you start introducing agents that mean that people see reality differently, have different priorities, have personal epiphanies about the nature of love, family, their priorities, their willingness to subjugate their personal selves to an economic system that may not necessarily reward them, then it's very difficult to control and govern and manage a society. Everything you can see, everything you can measure and touch, that's all there is. What? So it's not possible that in the limitlessness of space, there are sensory instruments that could detect levels of reality that are inaccessible to us now, and even more significantly, that beyond the sensory and material world, there are layers of reality that are too subtle for us to even detect. We know already that different animals have a different experience of reality to us. We know that there are subtler forms of energy at play, and it's likely that psilocybin and other psychedelics allow us to access experiences, frequencies, vibrations, realities that are otherwise inaccessible. And the fact that that has a positive effect on our mental health is hardly surprising.
But
what I suppose I'm suggesting is that our economic systems are so deeply inculcated and the imperatives of those systems are so blindly obeyed that we ignore vast swathes of reality, of our nature, of potential solutions in order to maintain systems that can't necessarily serve us because they are about the service of hierarchical elites rather than addressing the problems of a diverse and varied and disparate population, i.e. like this individual. She has a little bit of a go with the old psilocybin and with hours depression drops away. What possible reason is there then to not continue this exploration and to prioritise the well-being and health of individuals like this one and all the other countless individuals suffering from mental health problems, which, by the way, a scholar such as Mark Fisher would say should be regarded as a social issue rather than an individual issue because it's caused by social conditions. You see a rise in mental health problems, but it's always treated like it's an individual problem because if you started to address it as a social problem, what would you have to change? Society rather than the individual. We are on, with revelations like the UFO stuff coming out from the Pentagon and this kind of thing entering the mainstream debate, we're at a kind of pivotal moment where we could say, why don't we put these new revelations into the current machine that materializes, rationalizes, commodifies everything, or could we In this time of crisis, after this time of hibernation, lockdown, breakdown, start looking at genuine alternatives, new ways of treating individuals, new ways of treating the collective.
This is one of a number of recent trials reviving some of the most controversial psychiatric research of the 1950s and 60s.
After receiving a small dose of LSD, they're confused and undisciplined.
After receiving a small dose of LSD, they're beginning to question whether or not being in the army was a good choice for them as individuals.
Just 1 or 2 pills may be able to replace daily medications for months or years on end.
Hold on a minute. So they can have 1 or 2 pills that grow naturally on the planet, or we could manufacture a lifetime's worth of drugs. Which one makes more economic sense?
I want to call out somebody, and it might affect our future relationship, and even though I looked up to him a lot as a kid, I was recently speaking with KSI. He just followed me on Twitter, and that was like a huge deal for me. I've been watching KSI since I was like 10. And he recently followed me and we started talking. And then the other day when Tate got banned, I saw KSI tweet, "Thank God Andrew Tate got banned." And I was DMing him back and forth today, and I know this is a private conversation, but I'm going to talk about it because I think it's relevant to, it's something that he genuinely thinks. And he already tweeted that he was happy, thank God Tate got banned. I'm like, you've been canceled so many times for doing Heskey time, for doing the R-word face, making fun of SA victims. It's what you were doing. And now you're celebrating the downfall of somebody else. So not only do I think that you're just echoing what they want you to echo because you're scared of getting canceled against, and now you're siding with the elites, you're siding with the programming because you almost got your shit taken away, but also how you don't see the hypocrisy in calling the Creativity Kit or calling Hustlers University a scam when you make videos promoting OF girls and prawn girl, like the Sidemen Tinder video. Most of the people who watch that video are 12 years old. It goes on trending, of course, because they want you to be dumber. But what they're doing is they're putting prawn stars in the middle of a video, and all of them have to try to get them. And you know why the prawn stars do it? Free promo.
Jeffrey's horny. He's so horny. And he's frustrated. He isn't getting any attraction from women. He's so used to this life that he's went deep into the depths of the internet, into these subcultures talking about women and how they only like chads. He's tried online dating, but he doesn't really get many matches, and the matches he does get are either bots or unattractive women. The reason why we don't like Jeffrey is because he takes no responsibility. He complains and he hates on women. He complains about the societal dating standards, and yet he does nothing to improve himself to become more attractive. Jeffrey wouldn't date himself, and yet he expects women to be interested in him. Adonis is a confident man, and he knows that there's one major thing that he can do throughout his day that makes women attracted to him: holding eye contact. It's so simple, it's fundamental, but of course Adonis doesn't overlook the fundamentals. He has the humility to know that they are what's crucial, and so he keeps it in mind. Hold good, strong eye contact. Imagine Adonis walking down the street. A girl sees him in the distance, and she notices that he's looking right at her. Not like a creep, not full of lust, but of interest. She can't help but be attracted and impressed by him. She's used to all these boys looking away from her, and here in front of her is a man. Jeffrey's the average guy. He's overweight, lazy, and undisciplined. He got average grades in school. He works an average job that he doesn't like. He doesn't attract the kind of women that he wants. He lives a mediocre life. Jeffrey hears about self-improvement, about exercising and building a body that he could be proud of. He hears about meditation, gratitude journaling, reading, and learning. And Jeffrey refuses to do any of it. He spends his days playing video games, jacking off to messed up porn, and eating junk food. What a disgrace. Adonis is the man that we aspire to be. The best man, the ultimate man. He lives the life that cultivates his masculinity and makes him feel so fulfilled. Whilst other men spend their days indoors, hyper-stimulating themselves, Adonis goes out into nature. He hunts, he feasts, he leads his tribe to success. Everyone looks up to him. Here is a man, the man, who is showing us our potential. The question is, are you going to reach it? Your friends need you. You remember those motherfuckers that you grew up with who play video games and do all the bad habits? They saw you get onto self-improvement, and you might have noticed maybe some jealousy, some resentment, some hatred towards you because you started going to the gym and meditating and doing all this weird stuff that took you away from the instant gratification activities that they're all addicted to. And so it's so easy for us to say to abandon your Jeffrey friends. You've probably taken a big step back from that original friendship group, and that might have been good for you, but they need you. And the superior man, the man like Adonis, helps his brothers Just look at those spurgs. They're kind of cute, aren't they? Jeffrey's part of the hustle and grind culture. He wants to make 50 million in his 20s, and so he works all day, every day. But oddly enough, he doesn't seem to accomplish anything. He largely does shallow tasks, and he interrupts his workflow every 2 minutes to check his phone. He sacrifices sleep and rest to work more. Adonis works on his purpose for just a few hours every day, but he has the focus of a monk. He remains undistracted whilst he commits to his deep work and accomplishes great things. Then he rests and unwinds through activities like meditation and working out in nature. Jeffrey wants to drop out of the rat race, and he thinks the way to do that is to work long hours, invest in a 401k and stocks, and hopefully make millions. So he ends up working long hours and spends most of his wage on instant gratification to recover from those long hours. Adonis works, and he works hard, but he doesn't trade his time for money. He doesn't work under a boss's commands. Adonis spends time working on his craft and exercising in nature. Jeffrey's self-improvement has been very difficult. He finds a new self-improvement technique like no-fap or cold showers or meditation, and he's hyped. But before he knows it, he's back to being inconsistent. Jeffrey doesn't know that it's his mental health that is actually the problem. Adonis has been through some shit, and because of that experience, he knows the importance of training his mind just like he trains his body. Jeffrey set the goal to work out every day. By Tuesday, he convinces himself that he'll skip today's workout because he has too much work to do, and he'll just do a longer workout tomorrow. By Friday, he's forgotten his goal entirely. Adonis set the goal to work out every day, and so he does it. Jeffrey has made some progress in his self-improvements, and that gave him some confidence. Too much confidence. He started to believe that he knew it all, and so he stopped learning, and eventually he stopped improving. Adonis has made insane progress in life, but he holds the frame that he is a lifelong student. And so Adonis continues learning, improving, and growing. Jeffrey does what he feels like. Of course, he feels like eating junk food, playing video games, and fapping. And so he does just that. Adonis doesn't indulge in his impulses. Adonis views his feelings with interest, and then he does the right thing anyway. His feelings tell him to lie in bed, but he gets the fuck up and he goes and works out. Jeffrey tries to impress girls at every opportunity. He gets into alpha male body language and spreads out his lats. He tries to make his voice deeper, and he only works hard when a girl is watching. Adonis cares more about how he views himself instead of how girls view him. When he's focused, he doesn't even notice them. He holds himself to a higher standard, and he commits to his purpose. Jeffrey's go-to website is YouTube. He has the website bookmarked, and through muscle memory, he ends up back here every single day. He's sick of YouTube. He spends so much time on this damn website. He knows the knowledge already. He knows what to do. He just doesn't do it. And so he wastes time searching for the quick answer. Adonis doesn't know what YouTube is. Jeffrey is edgy. He heard that motivation is a myth, and now he cringes at every time someone mentions motivation. Adonis knows that motivation is a treat. It's always nice to have, and so Adonis benefits from the secret motivation tactic to fuel his workout. Jeffrey received plenty of participation trophies in school. That raised his self-esteem nice and highly, but there was a problem brewing. He became afraid of failure and discomfort. Adonis was taught to fall. He was taught to pick himself back up. He failed in school but found it strange how failure is punished in our modern world. Chasing discomfort and embracing failure is the exact reason why Adonis is successful. Jeffrey fakes it till he makes it. He spreads his arms out with his invisible lat syndrome and tries to talk too deeply. Adonis just acts naturally. He has confidence because he's worked on himself for a few years, so he doesn't need to fake anything. Jeffrey thinks of new goals and announces them to everyone on social media. He's the kind of guy who posts a black screen picture saying, "Quitting social media. Text me if you need me." Adonis doesn't speak about his plans. Why would he? He doesn't crave validation without actually putting in the work. He works hard first, and then he lets the results show itself. Jeffrey finds his workout routines on Reddit and YouTube, but they never get him to his goal of building an aesthetic body. Adonis doesn't take advice from guys on Reddit. Adonis trains the 6 aesthetic muscles, and that's why he looks jacked. Jeffrey thinks that trying to be like the alpha male is cringy, and so he never improves. Adonis looked up to his father as the ultimate alpha male, and then he tried to emulate his father's behaviors, and with that, he grew. Eventually, Adonis became the alpha, and now he lives an awesome life. Jeffrey spends all of his time trying to get girls. That's his one goal, but he gets frustrated that he's just not getting any results. Adonis focuses on his own growth. He doesn't chase women, and then something weird happens. Women chase him. Jeffrey's scared of getting rejected in front of people, and so he never escalates with women. He never polarizes women, and so over time, the women Jeffrey's interested in lose interest in him and start dating other guys. Adonis instantly polarizes women. He doesn't waste time. Within just a few seconds, he displays his interest in a woman, and then he automatically knows if she's interested in. Jeffrey says there's nothing wrong with watching porn.
It's healthy for you. There was a study that said fapping decreases your chances of prostate cancer.
And so Jeffrey watches porn and jacks off at least twice per day.
I'm not at the beach, this is a bathtub.
Adonis doesn't watch porn. He makes it. Jeffrey's annoyed. Everyone has been telling him to meditate, but he tried once and it didn't even do anything. It didn't clear his mind of thoughts or help him to be more focused, and so he never meditated again. Adonis understands common sense. He knew that he'd have to get consistent in meditation for the long term to see great benefits. And so he just kept showing up to his meditation practice for months, and it slowly started to change him.
The pineal gland is the most mysterious organ in the endocrine system. The pineal gland is also called the epicenter of enlightenment, the seat of the soul, or the third eye. This tiny pea-sized gland is shaped like a little pine cone, and it's residing in the center of our brain. It is sensitive to light and produces the hormone melatonin, which influences the sleep cycles. One of the most incredible functions of the pineal gland is that it releases N,N-dimethyltryptamine, better known as DMT. DMT is also called the spirit molecule, and it's considered by many to be among the most powerful psychedelics that we can experience. People who've used DMT report mystical visions that are often far stronger than with other psychedelics. They feel that they had been taken to alternate realities, interacted with sentient interdimensional beings, and had their entire worldview changed by visceral experiences that seemed more real than their daily life. To simplify it, the pineal gland can produce the molecule which can transcend our consciousness into the higher dimensions and connect us to the divine oneness of the universe. When we sleep, the pineal gland produces small amounts of DMT, which is the driving force behind our dreams. What is even more astonishing is that during death, the pineal gland floods the brain with a huge dose of DMT, which helps our consciousness leave the body and rejoin the spiritual world. According to many ancient and modern sources, the pineal gland, or the third eye, may hold the secrets to spiritual wisdom, inspiration, and psychic awareness. Utilizing its powers can be vital for the physical, mental, and spiritual health, while also being a gateway to higher consciousness. The pineal gland has been a subject of much interest since ancient times. Galen described it in the 3rd century, and the philosopher René Descartes identified the pineal gland as the seat of the soul. His explanation for this conclusion is quite interesting. My view is that this gland is the principal seat of the soul and the place in which all our thoughts are formed. The reason I believe this is that I cannot find any part of the brain except this, which is not double. Since we see only one thing with 2 eyes, and hear only one voice with 2 ears, and in short have never more than one thought at a time, it must necessarily be the case that the impressions which enter by the 2 eyes, or by the 2 ears, and so on, unite with each other in some part of the body, before being considered by the soul. Now, it is impossible to find any such place in the whole head except this gland. Moreover, it is situated in the most suitable possible place for this purpose, in the middle of all the concavities, and it is supported and surrounded by the little branches of the carotid arteries, which bring the spirits into the brain. Descartes was one of the few philosophers who was experienced in vivisection and anatomy, and who rightly pointed out the unique nature of the pineal gland's location in the brain. It is widely believed that the pineal gland is the key to our spiritual awakening and psychic abilities. Traditionally, the pineal gland is said to be the third eye chakra, otherwise known as the Ajna chakra, which is set back and between our two physical eyes. Almost every ancient civilization knew about the pineal gland, and we can clearly see that in their symbolism. The pine cone has served as a symbolic representation of human enlightenment, the third eye, and the pineal gland, and it can be seen everywhere throughout the world. Beginning with one of the oldest civilizations on our planet, the ancient Sumerians, we can see many references to the pineal gland. They depicted the Anunnaki gods holding a pine cone in almost all of their depictions. In this particular depiction, we can see an Anunnaki being holding a pine cone and using it to influence a stylized tree, which curiously resembles the DNA strand very clearly. And we all know the DNA strand was discovered thousands of years later in the 19th century. In ancient Egypt, the most prominent symbol, the Eye of Horus, can be directly used as a map of our brain. It bears an uncanny resemblance to the center of our brain, and of course, the pineal gland. The uraeus, or serpent crown shown on Egyptian and Nubian royalty, is also considered a third eye reference, and it's a symbol of wisdom, power, and protection. Richard Casaro, a Madrid-based author, lecturer, and documentary filmmaker, also discovered the prominent role the third eye had in the ancient Egyptian culture. He discovered many depictions of the third eye, especially in the Aten symbol. He said, "The Aten stands for the awakened third eye that sees the soul within, or sun within, which soul or sun is really the higher self, or divine spark within us. The Aten is thus a symbol of both the third eye and the soul within, that the awakened third eye sees." Richard Casaro discovered the striking similarity between the Aten symbol and the bindi in Hinduism, which is the point or dot depicted on the forehead. The bindu is associated with Ajna chakra, or the third eye chakra. This ancient third eye symbol can be found not only in Hinduism, but also in Buddhism and Taoism. Even more astonishing is the fact that third eye symbols are also present in the New World religions of the ancient Maya, Aztec, Toltec, Olmec, Inca, and pre-Inca cultures, as discovered by Casaro. According to him, there is a long history of the third eye in the so-called occult tradition, or Hermetic tradition, and this tradition teaches that during a long ago golden age, thousands of years before the first known civilizations, our ancestors had a physical third eye in the center of their foreheads. As humans evolved, this third eye atrophied, becoming the modern pineal gland, located precisely in the geometric center of the human brain. Curiously, scientific evidence supports the possibility that our third eye, or pineal, was once our first eye. Under the microscope, the pineal is made up of cells that have the same features as the rod-shaped, light-sensitive cells found in our retinas. The pineal receives signals that travel down the optic nerves, just as our physical eyes. It seems the primitive third eye once functioned as a sight organ before our current set of eyes, just as the ancient civilizations described. Today, the third eye organ no longer works in our daily lives and must be intentionally awakened or activated. Every human being's pineal gland or third eye can be activated to spiritual world frequencies, which can enable you to access the higher dimensions of consciousness and have the sense of all-knowing godlike euphoria and oneness all around you. If the pineal gland is tuned into proper frequencies, with the help of deep meditation or various other spiritual and esoteric practices, a person will be able to have out-of-body experiences, popularly known as astral travel or astral projection. With more advanced practices and ancient methods, it is also possible to influence and feel the thoughts and actions of people in the physical world. Cultivating the power of the third eye is the doorway to incredible powers such as telepathy, clairvoyance, lucid dreaming, aura viewing, and even minor benefits such as improved quality of sleep and enhanced imagination. The illusion of separation between self and spirit dissolves when the third eye connection is cultivated. When you open your third eye, you'll receive access to the higher dimensions. You'll be able to awake within the dream, to walk between realities, and to surpass the limitations of humanity. If your third eye is blocked, however, it can lead to confusion, uncertainty, cynicism, jealousy, and any other low-frequency emotions. Through an open and vibrant third eye, the highest source of ethereal energy may enter. While the physical eyes perceive the physical world, the third eye sees the true world, a unified whole with an unyielding connection to spirit. If you want to be healthy at the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level, you need to learn how to access high-frequency energy through activating your pineal gland. This type of healing energy is essential for health for the reason that it raises the frequency of your body and soul. When you surround yourself with high-frequency energy, your health improves. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with low-frequency energy, your health deteriorates. According to some frequency researchers, a healthy human body's frequency rates are between 62 and 78 megahertz. Any frequency below 62 megahertz will make the human body vulnerable to illness and disease. The lower the frequency rate, the more susceptible the human body is to illness and disease. Once the frequency rate of the human body reaches 25 megahertz, the risk of death increases dramatically. After all this incredible information shared, you may be wondering, if everyone has a pineal gland, which gives these incredible powers and benefits, why are we all surrounded with miserable people, suffering to survive, working as slaves without even questioning the system? This mind enslavement of our society is mainly caused by the fact that most people's pineal glands are completely calcified, and that pineal gland calcification is intentionally and systematically enforced by our governments. Sodium fluoride has long been believed to help strengthen our teeth and stop the formation of cavities. However, more and more research is proving this information to be false. Fluoride has been added to our toothpaste, our food, and our water supplies for years. In the late 90s, a scientist by the name of Jennifer Luke carries out the first study of the effects of sodium fluoride on the pineal gland. She determined that the pineal gland was a target for fluoride because it absorbed more fluoride than any other physical matter in the body, even bones. The fluoride is attracted to the pineal gland like a magnet, and consuming fluoride calcifies the gland and makes it no longer effective in balancing the entire hormonal processes through the body. Sodium fluoride is destroying our abilities to connect to the higher frequencies and unlock our full potential, and for this reason, it's prevalent in foods, beverages, in our bath and drinking water, and even in our toothpaste. Sodium fluoride is put in 90% of the United States water supply. This huge conspiracy towards humanity is simply to make us easy to control and easy for us to obey. In fact, the fluoride was first introduced into the water by the Nazis and the Soviets in their concentration camps to make the camp population docile and to not question authority. As we said, fluoride is used in toothpaste, and if you look at the back of your toothpaste tube, you will see a label. saying that if you swallow more toothpaste than used for brushing, you should get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. 1 gram of fluoride can kill a baby, and there's around that amount in a toothpaste tube. Fluoride is the primary ingredient of rat and cockroach poisons as well, and a basic ingredient of both Prozac and sarin nerve gas. As little as 1/10 of an ounce of sodium fluoride can kill a 100-pound adult. The pineal gland, which has long been believed to be our seat of consciousness, becomes calcified by fluoride, and many conspiracy theorists believe that the government is trying to stop spiritual advancement and the expansion of conscious intelligence. Despite the spiritual effects, calcification of the pineal gland also triggers early puberty and mental disorders. In fact, 24 studies have revealed that fluoridated water lowers the IQ of children, and consumption could cause fatal brain damage and impair visual spatial awareness. Another study found that when fluoride was given to animals, it destroyed the male reproductive system. By ingesting low doses of fluoride, the male animals experience reduced infertility, damaged sperm, and low testosterone levels. The same results were seen in human studies, where men from areas supplying fluoridated water were found to have less testosterone and were more likely to be infertile. The thyroid is also severely impacted by fluoride and can cause hypothyroidism, which is underactive thyroid, which leads to depression, fatigue, weight gain, muscle and joint pains, increased cholesterol levels, and heart disease. Before you even think about activating your pineal gland, you need to make sure you exclude any source of fluoride from your daily life. Once you've done that, you can start decalcifying your pineal gland using tamarind fruit. The fruit from the African tamarind tree is extremely effective at detoxifying fluoride from the body. One study found children given tamarind excreted significantly more fluoride in their urine compared to the control group, and it may halt or even reverse the effects of skeletal fluorosis. Another natural detoxifier is raw apple cider vinegar. It helps decalcify the pineal gland due to its malic acid properties. Malic acid is an organic compound that gives fruits their sour taste. When taken as a supplement, it supports the digestive system and helps the body